people are now evaluating that space tech sector in a decade's time will be greater than $1 trillion.
The new world will give us the new power. The power where we can not only think about defense and attack.
In my country, if I'm making a drone, if my government doesn't buy it, why the hell will another government trust me?
I think sky is the limit and things are still evolving, I would rather say.
And we as a country have been always very system integration centric country.
So this is the nature of technology. So when we talk about innovation, we talk about new age technologies, defense plays a very, very important part.
2 years down the line, we built Hyperloop, a prototype, took it to SpaceX, tested it in front of Mr. Musk.
You never invested things that you should have done 20 years ago. Suddenly you want things as of yesterday. It does not work like that.
Core of the next wave of technological advancement, driving innovation across industries. To navigate this transformative era, it becomes essential to understand not only the potential of AI, but also its impact on society, business, and the global economy. In today's session, we will hear from thought leaders and experts who will share their insights, experiences, and perspectives on the evolving landscape of AI and next generation technologies. We look forward to an engaging and enlightening discussion that will inspire new ideas and collaborations for the future. Thank you. Let's commence the session. I invite on stage Mr. Evgeny Konev, founder, SpicyRocket AI, Russia. I feel extremely honored to invite our next panelist, Dr. Saurabh Katiyar, Group Chief Information Officer, Advance India Projects Limited, Thailand. My pleasure again to invite Shri Suyash Singh, founder, Galaxy Space, who's our next panelist today. A warm welcome to Shri Subhashish Banerjee, co-founder and CEO, AI Foundry, and Chief Investment Officer, ARTPARK. We have a very well-known face as a moderator today, Shri Rajat Sethi, author and entrepreneur, quantum technology entrepreneur, who's going to take the program ahead. Dear friends, our guests have got a very elaborate resume about themselves, but I would give a brief introduction of each one. I feel very privileged to introduce Mr. Evgeny Konev, founder, SpicyRocket AI. Evgeny Konev is a hands-on Russian founder living in India, where he builds global technology businesses from his base in Bangalore. His venture studio, SpicyRocket, creates Indo-Russian companies in AI, HR tech, and advanced production. A deep believer in knowledge exchange, Evgeny mentors in leading university, accelerates, and is a guest lecturer at institutions like Christ University and the Moscow School of Management. He is sharing insights on cross-border entrepreneurship today. His global view is shaped by past leadership at Moderator and government consulting as an ambassador for MEC, Moscow government. However, India has been a place of profound personal transformation. His lifestyle is now centered around yoga and Vedic traditions, which has deepened his perspective on life and work. This influence extends to his private interests, exploring longevity and a personal mission to help children find their purpose through new tech-enabled ways of learning. We welcome you, sir. Our next renowned guest today, Dr. Saurabh Katiyar, Group Chief of Information Officer, Advanced India Projects Limited, Thailand. He has over 25 years of experience in AI, deep tech, Industry 4.0, cloud, robotics, and smart manufacturing, having led large-scale transformation projects across Asia, the US, and Europe. He currently serves as Group CIO at AIPL and formerly led R&D and emerging technologies for Sharion Pokpan Group and True Digital. Recognizing among Asia's top tech 10 leaders, he is a MIT ILP research collaborator, global keynote speaker, and advisor to governments on digital transformation, AI ethics, and innovation-led manufacturing. Very happy to have you on a panel today, sir. Our next panelist today, Mr. Suyash Singh, is founder and CEO, Galaxy Eye. Galaxy Eye is building world's first highest resolution multi-sensor imaging satellite. He's the founder and ex-team head at Avishkar Hyperloop, a team representing IIT Madras in Hyperloop pod competition. He founded the team and motivated people to work on this initiative concept. He is managing a team of 40 members. His continuous benchmarking and competitors analysis. He attended SpaceX Hyperloop pod competition 2018. He has developed a method for system stimulation. Very glad to have you on our panel today, sir. I'd next like to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Subhashish Banerjee, co-founder and chief investment officer, ARTPARK. Mr. Subhashish Banerjee is a co-founder and chief investment officer at ARTPARK. Having completed his BTech from IIT Kanpur, Subhashish went on to pursue his MBA from IIM Calcutta. He has worked with leading global as well as Indian firms. Subhashish conceptualizes, nurtures, encourages and invests in companies that make products and Department of IT/BT, Government of Karnataka, to create deep tech startups in AI and robotics from India's academic ecosystem. It is a part of the NMICPS mission of the Government of India. So we have a moderator who needs no introduction, a very young and dynamic personality. Rajat Sethi is a quantum technology entrepreneur and a media commentator on technology and economy. He is a co-founder of QuBeats Quantum Technology. So I allow the moderator to take the program ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome you all to the second day, last session. We've had some fascinating conversations earlier in the day. All of this collectively, the aim remains that these are the new emerging sectors, new engines of future economy. How are they shaping up? Is India prepared for that? Do we have the wherewithal? All of these questions require deliberations, and I believe we literally have rocket scientists between us, people who are building robots which can fight future warfare, including artificial intelligence, which can shape future manufacturing. So these are all the young voices that you're seeing here, which will be big names in the years to come. Therefore, keep thinking about questions that you have, and very shortly we'll come to all of you. The intent remains to understand that how well India is prepared, where are some of the emerging opportunities coming from, and how is the world looking up to India, or not, when it comes to these technologies and development in these areas. A lot of this is disruptive in itself. For example, space technology. I mean, just 3, 4, 5 years back, I think in 2019, when space was still not open, only government could participate in space sector. And suddenly we are seeing that sector has opened up for private entrepreneurs to come in. And people are now evaluating that space tech sector in a decade's time will be greater than $1 trillion. We're already seeing marriage of these sectors. Quantum is coming together with AI. AI is coming together with space, right? And robotics with AI, with all the mechatronics and everything coming together is just opening up humongous opportunities. I mean, you look at what Elon Musk is saying. He's saying, can you do quantum computing in space? Sundar Pichai is saying that, can you do AI? He's actually sending 2 satellites next year to do artificial intelligence computation in space. So you're seeing that all of these emerging sectors that are there are seeing convergence. And are the building blocks there with us? Or we will, we always said that India missed the bus. That is something that we are deeply cognizant of. So I'm going to start off here with just understanding that how has your journey been? Each one of you, I understand that you're all coming in from different domains. But just to start off with you, Suyash, and then we'll pick certain cues from what you say to ask how is the world looking towards India, and how are Indians looking towards the world on these opportunities?
Always a privilege to come to this place, and especially in a manufacturing show for the very first time. Um, what you said is very relevant, and let me start by, telling where we started. So back in 2017 is when I used to be at IIT Madras, where I started building Hyperloop, and it was probably one of the first attempts to build Hyperloop in India. And 2 years down the line, we built Hyperloop, a prototype, took it to SpaceX, tested it in front of Mr. Musk, and those things happened. Came back to India in 2019, gave it off to the Indian government, to the Ministry of Railways, saying that there's more of a G2G project that somebody has to take. As Hyperloop is a mode of transportation, you need a lot of land. Why don't you guys take it? So IIT Madras humbly took that project, and with Ministry of Railways, they have now built the largest test track in Chennai, which is like Asia's largest test track in Chennai, which is around 500 meters or so. It's all vacuum. You can run pods in that. So this was, what I did in the past. But in 2020, when the COVID hit, I used to work for one of the companies at a research organization, and that's where I found that, remote monitoring was becoming a thing because of COVID and stuff. And especially California had this forest fire where forests were burning, and, we would not been able to quantify what was the damage that forest caused it. So that was the problem that I got bumped into, that how do I quantify a forest fire in a cloudy and in a smoky situation? And B, can we build a space tech company out of India? Right? And exactly like Rajat said, probably not in 2019, but 2020 is when the space reforms happened by the finance minister. It was an appropriate time to start a space tech company, and I had an appropriate problem to solve, which was a good convergence of space and AI. It's quantifying the forest fire damage caused by anything that has caused the fire, and appropriately sizing so that the claims can be settled by the insurance company was a starting point for us to think through, can we build a satellite that can see through clouds and smoke? Right? And can we build a satellite that has multiple sensors and then, bring in AI in that to mix and match and make satellite imagery available throughout the clock? That was the starting point for us, right? So some of me and my Hyperloop team members kind of got along together. We were in Chennai, started at IIT Madras, a very small facility of 250 square feet lab. Then came to Bangalore. We used to be in HSR. And now, we are finally in KIADB Aerospace and Defense Park, which is a massive facility of 50,000 square feet, where we'll be manufacturing 3 very large satellites at a time. Currently, we're in the process of launching our very first satellite. That'll be somewhere in Q1 2026. And this is world's first satellite of its own kind. I think in all of that, maybe a very important point for this forum is, for us, satellites are like tools that will gather imagery, right? But at the end of the day, we need insights. What are those insights? Has there been a change on borders? Has there been a change in the crop? Is the crop damaged? Has there been a change in some sort of transmission lines? And all of these things can be only derived by putting sufficient and efficient AI layers on top of the satellite data you collect from space. Building satellites is great, right? But using satellites is actually much more important. So although we have a manufacturing setup, but we're still more driven to build sensors rather than, building the boxes that will carry those sensors, because boxes can carry those sensors, but sensors may not work. And we, as a country, have been always very system integration centric country, where we kind of brought all the elements thinking that Europe would be better, US would be better. But trust me, I'm a little bit of more, ambitious towards the India story. And we built a sensor in-house fully, like a lot of people came to us, said, you can't build a radar in this country, and we built it. That too for space. So I think, all of these pieces are coming in line, and I'm really excited to build this company more, in the future for the next 10 years as well.
So while these stories inspire us, Evgeny, how are your Russia, for instance, look up to India when it comes to these absolutely deep tech, critical tech avenues, products, services, and all of that? What has your experience been, and how it is changing in the real time?
First of all, thank you so much for hosting me here, and it was a wonderful journey for the last 3 years. India was so kind to treat me well, and I like people, food, weather, everything is fantastic while I'm based out of Bangalore. My family is here, and it's a great honor and pleasure to be here and to see evolving economy and so many talents, so many people who are charged for success, who are hungry for the new things. And it is my pleasure, really. It's all applauses for you guys. That's why I'm here, by the way. It's a good question about perception, but let's start from the roots. Why I'm here, yeah? This is manufacturing show, and this is defense show, first of all. And I came from the city that was fully secret. I was born in the military city in the middle of Russia that was created after the end of the Second World War, when Russia was ruined and we lost 30 million people. And my family, they are originally from Siberia. We had a lot of land there. We had, like, my grandparents, they had 17 kids, and they had 10 sons, and 9 of them died during the war, and Russia was ruined. And after the end of the war, another war started, the Cold War, the race, tech race with US, who will win the game of the forge that can create the ultimate power, the ultimate manufacturing of the nuclear, and that was the purpose of building my city. And I'm a kind of child of the tech race between different countries. And my perception is from this land and this point of view. If we are talking about evolving trends for the AI right now, because we are talking about next generation of technologies and manufacturing. Today I wanted to think and tell you only about human perspective and philosophy for it. That's like just my feelings and understandings, that we, as the Russians, we struggled a lot in the conflict to protect our land. We have the biggest land in the world. It is the huge country with the huge borders, with the huge military, with the huge investments into equipment, with evolving conflicts on the borders, etc. But what I realized, that the new world will give us the new power, the power where we can not only to think about defense and attack and how to compete with each other, US against somebody, China against somebody, some country against somebody. I thought about the biggest opportunity right now is to think about the AI as a defensive technology for the future, but not from the perspective of defense, what do we know right now, to create better missiles, to create more agile soldiers and have a better intelligence. This is my perspective of the next generation for the AI defense, and the perception of India in Russia started long time back, you know it. It started from cultural perspective, and it started from the conflict, actually. You've got your liberty, and you've got your freedom, and then it was a conflict where US and supported Pakistan, and Soviet Union supported India. And since that days, we are good friends. because we are thinking for the longer perspective. And I wanted today just to settle you the context that I want to talk with you for the longer perspective of the products from India, built in India, to the globe. And I will answer your question, but a little bit through our talks at the end of the day. I hope it was not so, philosophical, but I wanted just you to set the
Fair enough.
context.
So, Subhash, been nurturing a lot of robotics, drone companies not very far from here, and you've been running this this incubator in this huge facility. I was shocked to see the facility that you have. I believe that there are some fantastic startups working right from very small drones to also building capabilities for males and hails. When we visit your, and there are a lot of prominent decision makers who have visited ARTPARK. ARTPARK actually gives us hope. But then, what happens is that it is easy for startups which are working in ARTPARK, making these cutting edge tools, cutting edge products. They are getting orders in the US, and our own defense and our own government is not even aware of the kind of work that you are doing, and you are nurturing these talents under you. Where is the gap? Is it the scale, visibility, capital not coming in? Where exactly do you think from a reality check perspective?
Okay. Should I pick the bubble or should I give the real story?
No, you are here to pick the bubbles only.
Two parts. What he was saying, 99% of people still don't realize that. Go to a government officer today. 90% of the cases, their email address is a gmail.com. You know what that means? All your communication is on that. You know what can be done with that? Today, even if so for example, the conflict in Russia and Ukraine, that is no longer a manpower conflict. For people who are on the know, it's a drone conflict. 90% of that war is drone. Everything else is finished. It's very simple. A tank costs approximately $16 million. An armored vehicle costs $6 million. All I have to do is send 50 drones worth $5,000 each. They will take out 49. Even if the 50th one takes it out, job done. How will you fight? Can I stop the drones? Yeah, I can fire a missile, $7 million. It doesn't make sense. So the only conflict left is drones. For years, even though it is happening, Indian government didn't realize it. So the great advantage of Sindoor is that we have realized it now. So whether that memory lasts for 6 months or it lasts for 6 years, I don't know. That we'll find out now. So see, we have a lot of things in our government. Okay, here is the guy who is smiling now. So you need lots of things. You need regulation. You need financial help. You also need procurement. In my country, if I'm making a drone, if my government doesn't buy it, why the hell will another government trust me? If my own government doesn't think that this is good enough, why the hell will somebody else trust me? In India, even if the procurement process grows through, let's say in the best case, it's 4 years. In the Ukraine-Russia conflict, in 3 years, drones have changed an approximate 17, 18 generations. 6 a year. That's the rate at which it is changing on both sides. On the NATO side, on the Russia side. So if you start a procurement process today and you procure that thing 3 years later, it's anyway useless. So basically you are procuring junk. Now, that is something I don't know how to solve for it. Lots of people will give lots of solutions. There are lots of things. We have something called L1 procurement. We have something called GEM. I'll give you one example. You are aware of it very well. So there is something called IDEX program for those of you who are aware. Basically, our previous Defense Secretary Ajay Kumar created that program 4-5 years back. The whole idea was, okay, the Indian military, the Navy, the Air Force lists out critical technological equipment which they don't have. It can be various things. It can be drones. It can be a particular kind of radar. It can be lasers. And then they say, okay, startups, whoever you think you can do something in it, present to us, give us some proof of concept, we'll give you some money to take it to the next stage. Very nice. The first year, second year happened. Rajat can tell you more about that. He's one of the first IDEX winners. And then after that, there is something in the army, or there's something in the entire government called FA. FA means financial auditor. The FA will come and ask, what is the end result? Did we have something which can compete with Raytheon? Are you joking? Raytheon is a $150 billion company. Their single UAV costs $117 million. The entire damn IDEX program hasn't spent less than 10% of it. So how are you comparing? Are you joking? But that's what happened. And IDEX program got shut down. So what's the solution to that? I don't know. Common people can answer that.
So I'll give you an alternate view. See what is happening right now around the world. And this sense of urgency has to kick in our thinking and our thought leaders as well. There is a very big venture capital fund called A16Z. A16Z made a report. If in 2027, China attacks Taiwan, what are the top 50 companies in India, 50 startups in India, which will be an immediate line of response? Who is making electronic warfare? Who is making the required drones? Who is making vertical takeoff drones and strung drones and all of those drones? Who is giving me the imagery? Who is giving me the data wall from satellite to actually pinpoint and attack and take down assets from the other country? Who is going to provide me the manufacturing bases around which where mass manufacturing of these drones can be done? So they have done this exercise of listing out each company, each startup, and are funding them to the hilt. Look at the funding cycles that are happening in the West. Each startup now is starting with a seed of $10 million and going into series if it's 60, 70, $100 million. Is another one in microwave technology which can send a burst of microwave and can shoot down all the swarms of drones. They got a very early stage funding of $250 million. So capital has been weaponized. Technology has been weaponized. And we have entered into a day and age where all things are circling around defense. Pick up space, pick up quantum, all of these cutting edge, new age technologies are first getting inducted into the defense ecosystems, getting the required capital, getting the required order books to sustain and survive. And from the civilian domain, it is all coming in, from defense domain, it is circling back into the defense domain, into civilian domain. That is the nature of technology. We talk about GPS, right? GPS was only meant for DARPA needs, for defense needs. Now every phone has a GPS. So this is the nature of technology. So when we talk about innovation, we talk about new age technologies, defense plays a very, very important part. So I just come back to you, Saurabh. You have a point? Yeah.
So just one thing I want to add, especially for people who are younger. History tells you that the last 35 years or the last 32 years, 1990 to 2022 was an anomaly. All this globalization, limited wars, that's anomaly. War is the normal. So if you think that 32 years is normal, it is not normal. And as he was saying, historically, if you see, even if you see in the last 30, 40 years, more than 2/3 of all technology have come from a defense application. First research, even the internet is from that. So, and he was born in that ecosystem, so you don't have to explain it to him. That's why he understands it so deeply.
This is why I think fascinating technologies are coming out of the battlefield between Ukraine and Russia. Americans and the Western entities are now looking hawkishly as to how do you solve the problems of emergent and the modern warfare. And the training ground, unfortunately, has become between Russia and Ukraine. Now, Dr. Saurabh, can you highlight as to what does your organization do and how are you seeing innovation ecosystems build out in India, and how are enterprises like you assisting building out? Is the deep tech talent that is needed to reach to a level where India becomes an important player in the overall equation? Does that exist, or we are being too wishful?
Gesture to IMS Cons to bring me here. I feel quite nostalgic coming back to Bangalore. I started my career in Bangalore in 1993 in Lavelle Road, and 2006 I pushed off from India to US. Coming back to India after 21 years is kind of, coming back to city where I started my career. I think a lot of you, many of you must have not yet born when I started my career. So I've seen this tech industry evolving. You know, in 1993, it was Novel Netware, Windows 3.1 when we started it. And I was doing coding for Y2K in 2000. I saw .com bust and a lot of other things evolving. And I saw how that time, when you talk about government, Indian government, how they killed the design philosophy. We were building computing the home computers were that time coming up, and all technology was imported from US and Europe or something like that, and Indian government signed the GATT. That's the time when actually we were restricted to do to design our own things. We were not supposed to design our chips. Companies like HCL and TCS, they had right teams and all the things, but they were restricted to do that. So that's how we became importer of technology that time, and we become an assembling hub and service hub, and we killed our overall cognitive thinking. And I feel proud that today I'm seeing totally different energy today, like the way we are. I think this is a starting point. Certainly it's not easy because we already at a juncture that the Moore's law is already at the peak. You know Moore's law, like every year the the transistors will double. And it's already, like I would say, 1 nanometer or 2 nanometer kind of transistors is moving to superconductivity. And that's where the startups like you are working towards. I'm a quantum physicist also. I worked under Professor David Miller in Stanford University in Department of Electrical Engineering. And I did a research project with him, and I bought a 5-qubit quantum compute last year itself in Bangkok. And we are doing a lot of quantum design, especially on the design side of it, still in the research side of it, because, and also we are bringing some quantum safe algorithms. That's also very important, even for the defense side of it, it's very important because today wars are fought, as you rightly said, on data, on AI. Israel is safe because they are fetching all the data, right, from the drones to the satellite. That is their initial data feed for their domes, which actually is protecting them from all the borders. And nobody realized that each and every, like I worked for Thai and Burmese border issue and the surveillance, which we created a kind of complete algorithmic-based imagery sensing through satellite, and we stopped that cross-border the human trafficking. So, and today is the situation like with this global food security and safety issue. Like I was heading R&D as in director R&D for CP Group, and this venture, AIPL, is one of the spin-off venture from AIPL for Indian continent. And I just in the month of May, I've been posted as a group CITO, and we are developing longevity cities. When I say longevity cities, about that longevity is one of the big problem. Aging societies, people are not, I would say the birth rate is reducing. So we want that aging society should be healthy, and we trying to actually, I'm working with MITs and to bring out those kind of personalized health and nutrition aspects within the smart city programs. And this is a research program, by the way, to bring those kind of cities in India. Currently, they are in Saudi Arabia and other part of the world. Now, coming back to the things which I see here in India at the moment, and I see in the morning presentation also, yesterday I was not here, that design thinking is an important aspect we still miss, I would rather say. Things are building up. We still import the technology. A lot of things, we are assembling it. Certainly government is pushing, and this is the right time if we can actually bring out those kind of capabilities and things to actually develop ourselves, and we in fact start exporting these technologies to the world. In terms of AI-driven manufacturing, if I say, like almost as a data point, more than $500 billion economy it is at the moment. And I myself, like we had 400 factories in across the world in 21 countries. And so we, with the use of automations, we were able to achieve 22 to 25% of uh, uh, efficiency in manufacturing process, especially discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing both. And recently with this, I would say, printing, 3D printing and bioprinting, things are evolving to the hybrid manufacturing aspect, but that's also coming back to the defense technologies, how we can quickly, in fact, manufacture, like kind of from design to manufacturing, how can actually we reduce the whole pathway. That is also important. We need to evolve that part. And I see a lot of opportunities, AI clubbing with IoTs and digital twins. So this is a kind of multi-dimensional aspect. If we can catch up together, I think sky is the limit, and things are still evolving. I would rather say we are still at the kind of we have taken good baby steps. I would say rather we have miles to go, but I think good we are on the right path. Good path is halfway done already. That's what I can say. And I congratulate to all youth power in India, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you,
so
Dr. Saurabh. I'm more of a realist, less of an optimist like you. I wish I was as optimist as you are, but that's my nature and I struggle with it on a daily basis. Let me switch this and bring realism into technology. We are seeing an era, an unprecedented era of techno-nationalism. Whatever critical technology is needed to build stuff. I was just listening to Mr. Sikab earlier today. He said that only 3,000 people know how to make LLMs. Like threadwear, like from scratch. Only 3,000 around the world, and they live in two cities, San Francisco and London. And both UK and US will go heaven and earth to ensure that those people are identified and secured. That talent should not go anywhere else. The challenge, therefore, before us is twofold. A, our supply chains for all these new age technologies. I can tell you about quantum. I mean, you cannot do anything if you don't have precision lithography, you don't have precision dilution fridges, lasing, all of these things. If you don't have, how can you imagine that today, one good day, you'll wake up and have this dream and ambition of building a quantum computer? You never invested things that you should have done 20 years ago. Suddenly, you want things as of yesterday. It does not work like that. And on top of that, what is happening is that any building block that eventually can make a quantum compute device is now under export control. Even in space for that matter. And this is where, Suyash, I want to bring you in. Can you help us understand what are these emergent challenges around supply chains? India doesn't have the leverage of controlling the supply chains to use that as a negotiation for getting other stuff in. You, for instance, I think you made your own SAR sensor in-house. What about certain critical supply chains? How much does that become a bottleneck as you grow and become a unicorn?
I think very appropriate question, and let me just break that down a little bit. We have a satellite that is an optical sensor. There's a SAR sensor, and then of course the bus or the platform. If you talk about the most critical technology in all of these pieces, probably it is two parts. One is the amplifier or the TR modules for the radars, and the detectors for the optical camera. It is almost impossible to get a detector sourced from outside. If you talk, or if you even say that you are a defense-oriented company, it is impossible. You are under ITAR, and you can't do that. So that is out of question. So I think detector is one of the most important technologies that we can't source from, US or anywhere. Coming back to TR modules and other things, I think that is still okay, because a lot of things get manufactured in India. It's almost like a European company bags an order for a UAV. That UAV has a radar system that is built by, say, an Italian company. And then that Italian company gives a sub-order to an Indian company to manufacture and print the TR modules and the transmit receive modules or antenna in India. Then it goes back to London, gets integrated for say for $500,000. Then it gets integrated into a $5 million radar system. That gets integrated into a $500 million UAV. So what you build here for a $100,000 price point comes back to you for much more than that. And sometimes ITAR. So I think it is extremely important. I was listening to you on the quantum side. It is extremely important to invest in semiconductors. If we can't invest now, see, we have already lost the race. And we have to start with suboptimal products. If a company which is based outside in the US, there's a 100% chance, not even 99%, there's a 100% chance that their electronics and PCBs will perform better than ours. But with whatever we have to start procuring suboptimal performance systems as much as possible and maybe play on the algorithmic level. See, we are better at writing softwares, no doubts on that. Can we play on that level and make the hardware sweat a little more? See, Europeans have this mindset that they will sweat the hardware, make the most precision hardware to make things work. Right? I think we should work the other way around. We should make the best software with a suboptimal hardware and still do the same job because we are there. So I think supply chain problem is very, very real. Starts with detector, goes to TR modules, then goes to sun sensors, star trackers, and some of the reaction wheels that goes onto a satellite to stabilize the satellites and whatnot. These things are very, very hard. Very, very hard when it comes to thinking through where we are. And can we build it? Possibly, yes. Can we build this in a 5 to 10 year time frame? Yes, 100%. Do we have capital? No. Why don't we have capital? Because we don't have orders. Or the IDEX situation, which doesn't allow you to move forward. And hence, the foreign supply chain will get inside. I was recently speaking in a webinar, where there was a US-India space thing was happening. And I was asked to speak how US companies can enter India. Because India is already a spacefaring nation. We do a lot of things ourselves. Chandrayaan-3 was probably 95% plus was built here. With the suboptimal software, hardware system, but still went to the South Pole of the moon and performed like a charm. See, I think people understand that things can be built here if we have enough and sufficient capital. So to make the supply chain more and more streamlined, there's a lot of, I think we need to go through a structural reform, in my opinion, because companies like us who are into making the full-blown satellite can really help in transforming the supply chain if we start giving orders, we as an OEM, to the OEMs, as a system integrator, if we can give orders to our own startups or our own industry, it helps at one level. But we need to get an assured order from the government as the systems. So, I think we need to work at several levels. It's not just about having talent. Talent is there. And, of course, institutions like ARTPARK are doing a great job to give these talent a platform. But the question is at what level we should, flood people with orders. Maybe at systems level, government has to intervene. At our level, we need to, culturally align ourselves to start trusting our own people to build things for us and not venture out.
So, okay, very good point. And this is the question to you, Evgeny. Our defense people, again, no offense to them, we hold them in very high esteem. But when they see a Russian or an American product, they can, place orders with full confidence, with full zeal. When they see an Indian startup coming in and trying to sell, you will see their hands trembling. Evgeny, I dream of an India when we are supplying technology to Russia, not the other way around.
You are.
So what is that roadmap? Now you reverse your role, be an Indian for some time. Tell me what we should do to supply to Russia.
It's a good question, actually. So we started our journey a long time back together, and since that days we allocated a lot of parts of supply chain, production, manufacturing things to India, basic things. We didn't, accepted something back. We just gave metallurgy fully to India when it was nothing here. Full, supply chain of the metallurgy components, everything what is related to manufacturing. We've done it a long time back, and right now we are getting a lot of things from India. We started manufacturing here spare parts for a lot of things in Russia, and we are getting this support, and you are upgrading it. So the Jugaad culture and the culture of creativity and making and creating something cheaper, or you can say more affordable, this is the way how do I think India will evolve. But I researched one interesting thing about your doctrine, about your foreign doctrine, about your doctrine of war and peace, and I found very interesting thing. I found your Indian philosopher, Kautilya. He created a very ancient document, Arthashastra, yes. And actually you are following it right now. And you are following to be independent fully. It is the right way. But then you know what happened after Mr. Ashoka followed this document. He faced a challenge. He saw the real thing after winning the Kalinga War, war for Kalinga, Adisha, and he saw like hundreds of thousands of people died, and he changed his mind. And I believe that the new doctrine of India could be not only about being self-sufficient and follow this self-sufficiency and be demandable in terms of the supplier. No. I think that the India could be the next leader who is delivering the new concept when you are not only the production or forge. That's been my city. For my city created nuclear weapons to I believe eliminate the whole planets in our solar system in one small city. And I think that the next big thing for India is not to be only self-sufficient plant, forge, but also to be the player to predict the future conflicts, to be the, I have a word for it, today I just read about it, Vishwaguru. Yeah? I want us to think not only from the perspective that who can supply and what, because I understand this nationalism and protective things and so on, but I see this world from the long-term perspective. And I believe India will you will definitely get the place of the supplier. Russia will buy from you some technologies. It's a matter of time. You mentioned 10 years we will do it. Yes, we will do it. It's just a matter of time. We will come to you and say, guys, how you've done it? Come on.
That's a brilliant philosophical take. Again, I hope there is some a realistic path of reaching out and becoming the Vishwaguru in every aspect, and I think we are all striving towards that. But again, coming back to you, Subhashish, and then please keep your questions ready. We are going to get to the audience after in a couple of minutes from now. Back to realism, brushless motors, basic things, mechatronics. Where is the Indian humanoid? Where is the Indian robots on the larger scene? I am used to Boston Dynamics, by the way. I've seen so many videos, that excites me. Where is the Indian robots and when is it going to come?
Okay. Is a guy who had amazing vision. He tried to invest in OpenAI and he was sacked for that. So make what you will of that. Now, the number of people who can make LLMs, in a lot of places you will hear this, oh, they are in only 2 cities, Valley and London. No, they are in 3 cities, Valley, London and Shenzhen. Most people forget Shenzhen. They are doing crazy well. Go and ask an actual developer. DeepSeek Quen is beating Anthropic, ChatGPT on many, many parameters. Okay, so this world where we live in, so if you ask me today in AI, there are only 2 countries, US and China. I don't know who is 1, who is 2. But what I do know is that position number 3, 4, 5, 6 are all empty. That is the difference between these 2 and the rest of the world. That is where we stand today. We're talking of BLDC motors. So for those of you who don't know, brushless DC motors is those small motors which run, drones run off them, all robotics run on them. Basically, the most important characteristics of a BLDC motor is it has the highest ratio of power to weight. So in a small amount of weight, you can extract the maximum power, which is what you need in anything which is flying and so on and so forth. So 6 years back, this country had 0 BLDC manufacturing companies, 0. Okay. So at that time, we had set up a company, Trishula Motors. What happens when in this kind of technology? When you start building, you will not be cost competitive. So today, China is the only cost competitive nation in the world. 80-90% of BLDC motors in the world are supplied by China. The only 3 other places where BLDC motor is made at some scale is Germany, Japan and US. And I don't know about Russia. I'm sure Russia makes or maybe takes from China. So in Japan, Germany and US, it is there by design and policy. So in all these big US defense companies, you cannot put in a Chinese BLDC motor, not allowed. So that's why that is how you build. So if you want this country to be competitive in BLDC motors, which is a very critical component of all of these things we are talking about, ecosystem, make it that everybody in this country has to buy an Indian BLDC motor. Will it be more expensive in the short term? Yes, absolutely. But there's no other way we will get to cost competitive. And if you want to know, whether this policy works or not, this is exactly the policy which the Chinese government wrote in 2016. It's an official document. It's not some secret. They have already done it. The blueprint is there. And look at that. Today they are dominating BLDC motors. So all of the kind of stuff which even Suyash is talking about, I understand that we cannot dominate in every technology. At least let's dominate some. Today, if you look at, I'm sorry to say this, but if you look at it, the US president and the Indian prime minister are greatest of friends. If you read the newspapers, if you read whatever they say about each other on X, and the US president and the Chinese president are the greatest of enemies, who is suffering more from tariffs? Is it India or China? It is we, because we don't have leverage. So, Mr. Z has leverage, Mr. Putin has leverage, we have none. So that's why when tariffs are put on us, we have to smile and bear it. So we are going to a world where Evgeny was talking about our policies. NAM, we always had a non-aligned movement policy as a overall government level. It has worked great for us, no doubt about that. But we are moving to a world where maybe the most powerful people don't believe in that. If they don't believe in that, and if we stick to it, it doesn't work. Game theory is very simple. It's not what you want to do. It is what has to happen will happen. And then how you put yourself in that construct. If we say, we will have no technology, fine, we'll never have leverage. We'll become a colony, whatever we want to call it. If you're happy with that, then all is good. So that old concept of roti, kapada, makan, it's always there. But that is gone now. Independence is much more bigger than that. And the things we are talking about, that is what defines independence today. So,
no, and friends, don't assume that we are being overly pessimistic, because the battle that is literally a war on technology that is happening before our eyes, and we have to be deeply cognizant while we pat our backs on amazing things entrepreneurs like Suyash are achieving. We also have to understand that you necessarily will have to put our foot down, get things, remove the talking part of it, get into execution, start doing things. It's only then that we'll be able to get to a fantastic example is BYD, for example. Battery, this guy only studied batteries and batteries for 30 years. Today, China produces highest per capita PhDs in battery sciences only. They have battery chemists, battery physicists, and all kinds of people, and that's how battery ecosystem developed. It doesn't happen overnight. So it's a question to you, Doctor.
One thing to add, if he gets 200 crores of orders running for 10 consecutive years and puts up 100 satellites, then I will be happy. Before that, the poor guy is just
I
struggling.
asked that previous question. We need scale. Anything short of scale is going to kill all the entrepreneurs, kill all innovation in this country till we don't get extra zeros at the back. And government, I don't know. See, the challenge with the government is they have all these Ladli Behna type schemes, people who are actually getting their hands dirty and doing things out. So very briefly, Dr. Saurabh, can you tell me how do we change our educational system, our people who, you require PhDs for these hard sciences, for these deep sciences. We're talking about Mariana Trench of deep tech. This is as deep as it can get. Where are our academics? Where is the academia's and innovation collaboration happening? I don't see that, but what is your thought process around that? How should it emerge given that you've seen academia working so closely with US?
That's very important because CP Group, which I was heading as an R&D, we had around 2.8% of our revenue, $100 billion revenue per year. 2.8% is a huge amount for the R&D. We had 28,500 researchers working across 91 labs in 22 countries. Now, this is the kind of, and every year, one of the KPI which we were driving is approximately 5,400 IPs, petty patents in a year to be registered, and almost like 50 to 55 actual patents on which the real products are being built on. That's how you evolve the industry. And supporting the startup ecosystem and academia, government, and industry in together as a consortium. Across the world, it is happening elaborately. I'm working with the IMT, ILP a lot. I fund them for many projects. And US, I'm funding them for 2 or 3 projects in a year. IIT in Delhi with Bharati School of Telecom, I'm funding 1 project. So it means like, but I can tell you 2 things. Like here is why it did not happen. People like me, I don't have an absorption in India, if you ask me frankly. So
there is no PhD jobs in India. Good
exactly.
quality.
That's the period right now. But having said that, right now, another point, government push is fragmented. I would say not very focused. That's a big problem. Like when you mention about BYD in China, the kind of investment Chinese government did supported BYD. That's why they became so big. So much subsidy they brought into the table, be it like on battery innovation, like this on especially the chemistry part of it, like sulfur and potassium and many other aspects of the things. And they invested. Now, last 15 years, all these disruption was happening when the current government was there. All this disruption across the world was happening on battery side of it. We could not sense it. Now, we already missed the bus. So,
Very true.
so that's where it is.
So now we'll go around the hall and pick questions. So please introduce yourself briefly and ask who's the question pointed to among the 4 panelists here. Yes, in the front. We'll take 2 or 3 questions in one go and then answer them.
My question is to Saurabh Katiyar. I'm alumnus of the Belgium Photonics program, and we are connected to Heriot-Watt University. So that's where David Miller comes from, actually.
Yes.
And so for your 5 qubit computer, quantum computer, did you build it on entanglement basis? And I can, from my side, I can offer spontaneous parametric down conversion or spontaneous 4-way mixing. So would you look to collaborate?
Why not? Because see, this is actually as I mentioned, we are still in the research stage because objective of buying this is was that we educate and let the teams across the world, they should start working on some of the research projects across their departments. They should start playing around with their actual use cases. So, like we are the 100% owned subsidiary of MG Cars in Southeast Asia. So, like, and a lot of design thinking has to go into that aspects as well. So, food side of it, like we manufacture food, we do a lot of things in like almost 30% of Thailand's agri-produce we export across the world. So I'm saying that there are a lot of aspects in terms of how we predict the yield, like right on the field side of it. So edge sensing becomes a very important aspect of the research. And then there are all the design aspects. When we do the personalized food and nutrition, a lot of things we need to design. For example, your gut microbiome studies to your gut to the brain axis, gut to your neurological axis. Similarly, there are a lot of things like for example, under the face, there is a PPG flow which flows. And just using RPG camera, you can create a quantum algorithm with which you can detect more than 150 diseases on the fly within 30 seconds. So that's the kind of evolution it is happening with the capabilities this research brings in. But as I mentioned, this is the right time when we start testing the industry use cases, so that next 3 or 4 years we are ready when actually it is affordable. It is actually like you cannot put it on the room temperature today. So you need to have a special environment. So we need to actually certainly next 2-3 years you will see that things will be a very affordable and reach to the
Cryogenics is not necessary for demonstration of
no.
quantum phenomena.
No.
Yeah.
So my question will be directed to Dr. Saurabh Katiyar and into two parts. Number one, our critical requirement comes into if I talk about robotics, how are we planning as a country to introduce the reinforcement learning mechanism into the robotics so that it can do things autonomously? And secondly, to make these capabilities live, we'll need a lot of GPU and data centers, especially in the training part that we require mostly. So as you all will be understanding that it becomes a very big problem when we go for cloud hosting, which eventually drives the cost up for all deep tech companies. I would love to understand that how are we planning to bring that cost down and set up the data centers accordingly in places.
So first part, unmuch, but yes, there has been progress in the last 6-8 months. There has definitely been. I'll give you one example, one data point which I can tell you. At the Indian Institute of Science in 2020, before COVID started, the AI ML faculty, okay, specific AI ML was the department. There were 6 faculty there. Okay, pretty good, all of them. Guess how many are there today? 0. All 6 have gone out on deputation. 3 Google, 2 Microsoft, 1 Amazon. Now, let me tell you why. As an AI ML scientist academic, if you have to do any work, you need compute. Does an academic institute in India give you that? No. So if they had sat there, and anyway the field is moving so fast that anyway they would have become redundant. So even if they are dedicated academics, just to maintain their level, they had to move out. They had to go somewhere where they will get the compute, as you're saying. So at the 9 months back, the answer to your question would have been 0. Now there are a lot of programs in METI. Let's hope it will reach a place. So there are some programs running even today. A few have been started, but that is not at a more generic level. That is more specific. Some people have got, some companies have got compute resources from the government. Hopefully in the next 6-9 months, more will get it. Let's see where we land on that. So.
Yeah, those are 30,000 GPUs only. Next question.
I'll just add to this. Have you seen this? The Jessen actually, when one of the launch last year on NVIDIA global stage, there was a wall E, small wall E was moving around on the stage, and he was taking a. So that's a power of edge computing. So and club with the Gen AI. So this is getting mature day by day. Very soon, what you're going to see is that these will be a kind of AI companions, robots, a kind of thing. It could be a kind of cute robots walking around in your home, doing your daily chores, giving medicines to the old age people at the home, taking care of babies in the hospital. So those will come very soon. And I think 1 month back, like the DGX is too big. Like now they have compiled to a kind of small box or something like that. And that I was surprised that the cost of that box is hardly $4,000 or something like that. That means, see the kind of power you have on your hand at the moment and what you can do with that. So probably the future is already here, and making India Swalambhi and self-reliant on all these things, I think that's a different story altogether. If we can bring somehow NVIDIA to manufacture in Thailand, that is the one thing we should look for at the moment.
Sorry, just one thing I missed out on. Robotics you are asking in India. So by the way, one of the world's largest robotics companies is situated in India. It is called Adverb. It's in Noida. So they have a manufacturing facility there which manufactures 1 lakh robots. Okay, world's largest single robotics manufacturing plant is in India. It's a totally export oriented. So I'll tell you the other side of it. Adverb was a startup at one time. Adverb wouldn't have reached where it has reached. It has reached there because a gentleman called Mukesh Ambani acquired a majority stake in it. So in that kind of environment, so Sangeet, who is the founder, if you ask me whether Sangeet himself could have taken Adverb to where he is, my blunt answer will be no. He needed the help of somebody, and because of that, they have done very well. In the context of humanoids, the only Indian robotics company which has reached anywhere is General Autonomy. Other than that, everybody is pretty behind.
Yes, next question. Okay, we'll bundle the two together and then we'll...
Okay. First of all, thanks to all the distinguished panelists for insightful discussion today. My question is from the forward-thinking perspective. Actually, we obviously we have to be self-sufficient and Vishwaguru and all the things that. But how can we be very responsible production house? Actually, I would say on that sense that AI is making autonomous decision, increasingly autonomous decision, quality control, production, manufacturing, all those things. But what mechanism do we have in place, or we need to have to make a safer and explainability or AI, what you say, or responsible decision making framework, so that we can say that not only made in India but responsibly made in India? So that's my question actually.
Can I give you a blunt answer?
We'll take another one. Then we can,
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So my question is directed towards Subhashish Banerjee. I'm a public policy consultant. So we talked about government procurement. So like there are some large numbers which say the public procurement is about 20% of the GDP and stuff. So it has so we can look at it as a way, as a demand side innovation, public procurement as demand side innovation. But there's some issues with looking at it, because even the procurement officers are also, they don't have much incentives to go for startups, because they will have to defend. If they are doing it L1, they're very safe to do it at L1. And then also like government has done 15%, like startups can bid at 15% more than the normal normal firms. So, but still, it's still not helping. Like Subhashish sir touched on it, so maybe some more light on it would be helpful. Yeah.
So first question, I'll let Suyash. So Suyash, I have this question. How does ethicality play in deep tech? Because especially when it comes to defense, a lot of things that we do is essentially to kill an adversary. So in general, I want to understand ethicality, and then of course, if you can answer that question. And the second question, Subhashish, you can answer.
See, I think this is a very tough question, to be honest. Like there are different perspectives. There are social perspectives, then there are survivability perspectives, and then there are geopolitical perspectives. I think what we need to do is, we need to be ready. It's not about that you're going to use those things in any time and every time. It's about being ready. For example, you mentioned about the Cold War, which was actually not a war, it was more of a technology race. And how it evolved the world we all know. The rest is history. So I think from my perspective, the ethicality in building what you're building has to be more about being ready for anything that comes tomorrow. And while doing that, you need to be really, really cautious about a bunch of things, right? And nobody's going to come and tell you, see, we are an evolving nation, right? And if there is a policy that says that you need to have a startup facility, cyber secure in certain ways and stuff, then, I don't know what will be the progress rate in this country. So I think it's more about how can you be more nimble and be ready for the situations and build everything possible that is needed. You may not want to use it. Coming to your question on L1, maybe I can take a minute to answer that. See, DAP 2020 or 2025 and all of these things. If you're too seriously thinking about those documents, right? As a startup, my suggestion and advice would be don't think about it in the beginning, right? What you really need to think about is your product or whatever you're building, does that make sense to the user? And then let the user suggest those methodologies to you. Because if you think the other way around, you will actually be more concerned about how the procurement processes works, and you'll spend all of your energy towards that. Start building some good products. See, DeepSeek took probably only 5 million to build an AI model, right? And maybe others were just writing a regular Python line on some top of 100 wrappers of libraries, and it was so stupid as a computational method that took some 10 GPUs to compute that. DeepSeek didn't do that. They wrote a proper C++, couple of liners, and they computed all the matrices. You need to find those ways. Don't think that this is the standard that people have set. I need to follow those standards and only innovate on the application layer and then fight an L1 battle. I think that's the most stupid way to build a company. I think do something fundamental. If you build a semiconductor based in India, build a GPU tomorrow, I think these problems will go away. I'm being very philosophical, but trust me, this is how you start. There's a company based in IIT Madras, I know them very, very well. And they are building, they've almost replaced Arduino. They have built they've built on top of Shakti microprocessor and built a good kit on that. You no longer have to use an Arduino Uno to perform experiments. Right? They didn't follow L1. They were not behind Mighty or DST to do everything. I think you need to also think about what are you building, why are you building, why do you want to spend your own energy and life building that product for? Rest will follow, of course. We all will sit together, discuss, brainstorm, and we'll get there. But the point is, if you start from an L1 mindset, then you're not reaching anywhere. Maybe, Suyash, you'll have a different...
Things, okay? So, talking about safety in AI, a lot of people talk about it. If I was sitting in Valley, I would have given you a complicated mathematical answer. In India, we are talking about setting up a bakery, and you are asking me, how will I prevent the frosting on the cake to not get bitter after one day? We don't know how to make LLMs. First, let us learn that. Then we will think of how to make it safe. That's a luxury which Meera Murati sitting in the Valley can have. He first made ChatGPT. We don't have that luxury. We have to first learn how to make LLMs. Then we will think of how to make it safe. How can I go to step 3 without doing step 1 and step 2? So, very, very important. The result of that will be, if we keep debating this, we will anyway not do that. We will not make LLMs. And then LLMs will be made in the US and China, and we will keep giving all our data to them. So we made very nice data laws on, Indian data shouldn't go out. Okay, healthcare data is very important to the country. We have a very diverse genetic profile. For the last 1.5 years, anybody in any part of India gets sick, they upload their prescriptions on ChatGPT and ask them what I should do. Every doctor in India is complaining about that because the patient uploads on ChatGPT and says, hello, ChatGPT said so. They have more medical data than all our medical data, all our Apollos and Columbias combined. So what are you talking about? And your second question, he was giving you round answers. I'll tell you the truth. If you can do without government procurement, please do. Government procurement is still not a solved process. if it had been solved, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
In fact, don't do government projects. And if you can then also survive, then only do business. Otherwise, do something else. So,
Let me give a balanced one. So, because I should not get disheartened. Because I am research side, so I can tell you 2-3 things. One is like certainly on this Gen AI driven, all those imagings and text and all, whatever you generate out of it. Like in Europe, there is a kind of law already that you need to have a watermark that is a fake image or fake video or something like that. So there are certain level of protection Europe has already brought in last year in terms of policy. This thing, many governments are adapting to it. Thailand already has it. Singapore has it. India doesn't have it. So DPDP, I heard, is almost similar to GDPR, which we are trying to bring in. The biggest challenge which I face in implementing PDPA, GDPR 5 years back was that my medical data record on which I trained my ML model, tomorrow, if you as a patient say that I don't want to actually hook my data to you, to the hospital or your patient record system, I have no way to do that actually. Because I trained my ML model, it's a black box, and I cannot untrain it. So that part is still unanswered, how we are going to handle it as a technology. So lastly, I would say that in terms of how you configure it, if you are creating a solutioning, the way I am doing it right now because I do a lot of federated learning. That way you can actually, all those ethical AI and aspects of things you can actually take care of in terms of distributing the model and other things, in terms of security and safety. So there are a lot of architectural patterns which you can follow to reduce the risk of data privacy or AI ethics and governance on all those things. But still there is limitation to the technology, which actually we are still struggling with that.
last comments to you, Evgeny.
Yeah, okay. The question was about ethics and my strong belief that the ethics, that more like deeper ethics is coming from females. So you need to invite females to your journey. And we are here, we have like a couple of them. And that's the source, the natural source of the common sense to sustain and have some ethics at the end of the day. Because we are guys, sometimes we are a bit risky. Yeah, to be honest.
I agree. I think this is a mistake which the organizers should ensure that it is not a manual. We have women voices also. We should try and at least ensure that going forward.
This is your ethics.
Yes, no, absolutely. Thank you once again. With that, we'll conclude. I cannot thank enough the diverse set of panelists that we had, trying to make some sense around what is happening into very, very contested spaces of deep technology around the world. And I believe individuals sitting here give me hope to be more optimistic. And that is the biggest learning from here, that I will, reinvigorate myself around things that I have learned today. Thank you once again. Over to you, ma'am.
From the IMS Con desk, we are extremely, and thank you, Rajat Sethi ji, to have moderated it so well. I now request Rajat Sethi ji to give on our behalf mementos to the panelists. First to the thanks Suyash Singh ji for having joined us here and given us very a big thank you to Dr. Saurabh come all the way and help us out here. Subhashish Banerjee ji. behalf of IMS